That's my child. I hope you don't have just random children coming up and putting themselves on you. That's good that that's your child.
I did
Mm.
today at a bookstore. It was adorable.
Mm.
Alrighty.
Go ahead, JS. See if you can get in here with this group. Good luck, buddy.
Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back, everybody, to the Geeks and Company. To I guess what's the first episode of the now Geek Boutique
Hmm.
podcasts.
Hmm.
For everybody who doesn't know, we are changing the name of the podcast to the Geek Boutique. Jeff, I did check online. It looks like there's nothing else really, as far as podcasts go, called the Geek
Right.
Boutique, so it should be
Yes.
much easier to find this way.
Here's hoping.
A lot of rebranding to do, but we're
Hmm.
going to officially call it the Geek Boutique
Awesome.
for Thursday, the 7th of October. Man, it's already October. We got a bunch of people with us today. We got a really full house
A little bit.
because we're going to be talking about, well, a subject I don't know a whole lot about. They were just laughing at me about this. We're going to be talking about Harry Potter today. And, me not being a Harry Potter expert, I'm going to defer back to crotchety old man over here, Messiah Complex Cosplay.
I don't
What's
know
going
who
on,
that
Jeff?
is. Oh, wait, but that's me. I'm the crotchety old man. I had some notes taken down. I know I don't know where that piece of paper is. Well, I'm just going to have to wing it. Hey, guys, welcome, as JS said, to another edition. I guess it is another edition of the podcast. We're just changing the name, but the format's going to remain the same. With us today, I have three esteemed guest colleagues, friends of mine that I know are Harry Potter super nerds that are going to help us get through all these Harry Potter topic and questions. First off, to this side is our dear friend Julie. You can see her handle there. She is a wife, mother, best friend, dog lover, tea drinker, purveyor of nerdy woolen creations. She's the owner of A Handmade Tale and a creative designer at the Caped Crocheter. Do I have that right?
Correct.
Yeah, Facebook, yo. That's awesome. How you doing there, Julie and
Ooh.
Jolie. This is going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad. And she's gone.
Oh, Jolie decided to
Yeah.
leave us. She's
Yeah.
like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm done.
No, I know.
Oh, I just
It was going to
snorted.
happen. So there we go. Yeah. Twin
Oh,
sisters with almost identical names. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah. I'm sure
That's
that's
really
that.
good.
fantastic. Julie, how are you today?
Oh,
Julie,
I've been having a day.
you have had a day, haven't you?
Mhm.
You know what's going to cheer you up? Talking about some Harry Potter stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
maybe.
sorry.
Hopefully.
I'm not great at this.
We're
It
going to
always
try.
does.
It's
It
all right.
always does.
It's all good.
Sorry, my debit
Also
machine
joining us,
exploded, so I'm like
and there's
out to
pictures, and
lunch.
it's pretty epic. But hopefully we can get you back on track here.
Yes.
Directly
Okay.
below Julie is Jolie, who is upset with me now because I make their names up, and that's why I'm a terrible person. She's the event coordinator for Action Comic Convention. She's a co-producer of the Comic Book Syndicate. She's also part of the Spider Cast podcast. She's part of the Full Volume podcast, one of which I have been on, and one of which I'm going to be on. So, a podcast, I want to call her a pioneer in the geek space because she's been doing this. I remember going to cons years ago, and she would do live podcasts from the con floor with people, talking to them about stuff. And I didn't even know what it was. I wandered into one at one point. They asked me a bunch of questions, and then I just pimped out. And it was a great time. So yeah, she's a trailblazer in this venue, and we're lucky to have her. Hi, Jolie.
Thank you for having me today.
I couldn't
And thank
imagine
you for
having you any
stopping
other way.
by that booth. I almost forgot that we did that.
Yeah,
Lost
I think
the
that was at
ether, that
CK
interview.
Expo, I want to say.
It was,
Yeah.
and it was with Dan and Todd.
Dan and Todd from Droids. Yeah, another podcast pioneers, a couple pioneers there, along with Robert
Mhm.
Bellamy, his podcast, The Movie Madness. Yeah, everybody's got a podcast now, but these guys have been in the game for a long time. Same as Jolie. So we're the new kids that are trying to sponge off your stand on your shoulders for what you guys have done in the past. So
Yeah,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And then last but not least, we have Whitney joining us as well. Whitney is the first person that ever published a picture of me in cosplay in a newspaper. So she's a great photographer. She's a writer. She's a foodie. I get pictures every now and then of the stuff she's making, and it makes me hungry every single time. And during the pandemic, Whitney did a very cool thing is she was running a weekly trivia that she was hosting through Zoom. It gave us all a nice little break in the monotony of the pandemic. And one of those trivias was a Harry Potter trivia. And I think my cohorts here were there as well, and we all had a great time. So, Whitney, how are you today?
I was really wondering what you were going to say about me.
Well, I
After
had a
those
few
two
different
great lead
things,
ups,
right?
I'd like to point out that I don't think that Julie or Jolie ever won either of my 2 Harry Potter trivias. Did you? Did you win either of them?
I won one, yes.
Oh, you did. 1
Yeah.
out of 2 ain't bad. 1 out of 2
Yeah.
ain't bad.
Well, I didn't go to the one of them.
Oh, well.
So
So she's 100%.
might I
Would have all been
add
different.
that I'm still waiting for my prize.
Hey, I
Ooh.
said the
Gauntlets are getting
prize.
thrown early. Holy
Yeah,
cow!
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was very transparent that the prize was my adoration or respect. You got to pick one. You never
No.
picked.
Nope. Somebody said they were coming to my house and didn't show up. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
and my hands are really cold from the lack of
I
mittens in
know.
my life.
Yeah,
So what are
I
we gonna
got
do?
I guess I better make you some.
Jeez. All kinds of tea on the floor, all kinds of shade. No,
It's
And
all-
before,
It's
And
all
before-
shade with love, though.
oh,
Shade
it's
with love.
like you can feel the love, can't you? And before we get too far down the road of throwing shade and drinking tea, let's get back to the topic at hand. I do want to talk about some Harry Potter stuff with you guys, and I want to ask each one of you individually. Any of you can jump in at any point. How did you come to be a Potter fan? What brought you to the game in the first place? Did you get in with the books? Did you get in with the movies? What got you into it, and what kept you there? Julie, why don't you go first, since you're the super fan in the first place?
I was just a kid reading some books. It was not like anything I'd ever read before, because I grew up reading like Nancy Drew, and that was pretty awesome. Like as a kid, because those were already really old when did we start reading them? We were 5 or 6, weren't we, Jolie? Yeah, and I think my mom just picked them up from like a churchyard sale. So those were already, those were kind of like ahead of their time. And then we were reading The Babysitter's Club and, Fear Street.
He's just always been a reader.
Yeah, we've always been readers, and I don't know. We didn't growing up in the country. We didn't really have TV. My parents didn't really think that was very important. So, yeah, I don't even know where we got our first Harry Potter books. It was just like this big buzz around this cool book.
So I'll tell you where I got mine.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
When in my senior year of high school, we had to do ISPs. And in order to not do an ISP on the already chosen books, my English teacher challenged me. She's like, okay, well, if you want to read Harry Potter books, you have to read every single one. And you have to do your ISP on every single one. And my high school boyfriend at the time was British, and I want to say his aunt had sent him all the books back in the 90s when they were initially published, and he had them all sitting on his shelf. And they were just republishing them in Scholastic, and I was like interested in the books that were on his shelf, and they were really good because he was like really into Lord of the Rings and like Spider-Man comics, and he had this really great book about like the science behind the X-Men. And then I saw these books on his shelf, and I was like, oh, I'd like to read them, and they happened to be magic and fun. And then that's kind of what skyrocketed it, because it is truly a whole world. It's undescribable. I felt seen. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely it does. What about you, Whitney?
Mine couldn't be more different, honestly. When it first came out, I was actually working in a movie theater, and I had no interest. None. I tend to not have interest on things that are super, super hyped up. So when the movie came out, I had never read the books. I was like, what the heck is a Harry Potter? I don't even care. Not interested. It wasn't until I think Chamber of Secrets was on TV one day when I was homesick that I watched it. And I was out of boredom, there is nothing else for me to watch. And I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. So then it became, I need to see the first movie. I need the books. Forget the movies. I want to read the books. And then it just became a thing from there. And it was just so cool. And the way the books kind of grew up with you. I mean, I didn't start when I was a kid, but if you started when you were small, kind of like they grow up with you as you become a teenager. And it just seemed something was special about them. And there were so many different characters and so many different people that it just kind of, I don't want to say it became an obsession, because it wasn't an obsession, but it was a love. It was a love, and it made you feel all warm and shiny and sparkly and magical.
You can be a little bit obsessed. That's all right. I'm good with
Yeah, not really.
that.
But
Maybe a little bit.
I started with like the negative, I do not want anything to do with this, to, oh, I want all the things to do with this now.
Yeah, it kind of grabs a hold of you like that, doesn't it? JS, what about you? I know you're not a big fan, so you're our resident muggle. So what's your exposure to Harry Potter at this point?
I mean, it's not that I'm not a big fan. I mean, I'm not. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't read the books. I have them all in my house because both of my daughters read all of them. I've seen the movies. Not to be honest, I'm not sure that I've seen the last one. The last one was broken into 2 parts.
That's
correct?
right. Yep.
Yeah. I'm not 100% positive I saw the last one. But I've seen all the rest of the movies. They came out when my kids were little. So, you know, I've probably seen them a couple times now. You know, when you have kids and they're into those movies and they want to see them constantly. And, you know, so I've seen them a couple of times, but that's really it. I don't know. The world of Harry Potter it never grabbed me like Star Trek or Star Wars or some of these other properties that, you know, we talk about on a weekly basis, right? But that's okay. You know, not everything is for everybody, I suppose. I can still appreciate it. There's still great movies, and you know, there's great characters in them. But yeah, just not the super fan. You asked me, I haven't seen them 100 times like I've seen Star Wars 100 times.
Yeah.
You know, so you asked me
It's
trivia
so
about
cool
them.
that you. Yeah, it's so cool that you say that, because I remember, like, I also remember really loving Star Wars and Star Trek especially. But I think the difference with Harry Potter is that, like, there was already sort of like a really big fan base for Star Trek, and somebody else had told me about it. I discovered for myself, it was like a discovery that I had made on my own, and then like I think that sort of fueled the obsession. But I definitely identify with that. Nice.
What about you,
Yes.
Jeff?
It was.
I mean,
the
I know
books.
you're a big Harry Potter fan, but
Yeah, no, it was the books. I had read the first 2 books and read through them again, and then read through them again, and it really got hooked into, you know, the storyline and the characterization and the world building that she was just starting to do. J.K. Rowling was just starting to kind of put together. You could see a lot of the seeds were getting planted, but you could also kind of get the sense, especially in that first book, that she wasn't sure like it was going to take off, kind of thing. It was the scope of the story was a lot smaller in the first book, kind of what Whitney's alluding to. Like the story kind of grew up as we went through the books and through the movies. But yeah, and then my kids, of course. So I was reading it to my kids at the time when they were very, very young, and they were digging it as well. Especially my youngest daughter, Sarah. She's the nerd of the group. So, but even my oldest daughter too would get into it as well. So we would read the books together. And then when the movies came out, it was just like, what? Like we actually get to watch this on a screen now, and all these characters come to life. That's
I felt the exact
amazing.
same way. And were you just not
Yeah.
shaking?
Of course.
The
Of
whole
course.
as soon as the music
It-
starts playing for every movie, I would just start shaking because I was so excited just to see my favorite
was-
people.
It was transformative. My kids knew when that Warner Brothers logo started to slowly come towards the screen,
Creeping through the
title underneath
clouds.
there.
Yeah.
Every time. And there wasn't a time where I couldn't put that on, and we would just all sit down and watch it together. And it didn't even matter what movie that was. I just
Yeah.
loved the movie so much. So
a lot of people that are fans of a specific book that get turned into a movie, or a franchise that gets turned into a movie, tend to not like the movies. They tend to complain about the movie because they're not just like the books. And, you know, I feel like with Harry Potter, that's a little bit different, though. Everybody that is a fan of the books just absolutely love the movies. Or is that just in my mind?
that's definitely in your. Go spend some time on Reddit, in the Harry Potter group on Reddit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Trust me,
that's
there'll be
awful.
all
Is it
kinds.
really, eh?
They're your
And that was-
purists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually was going to be leading into my next questions: the books versus the movies. Do you guys have thoughts as far as that goes? Because it seems like some of the movies do get a little bit more grief than others. Chamber is one, Goblet of Fire is another, where it didn't adhere close enough to the books, maybe, or what have you. Which is funny because Goblet's one of my favorite of the actual films. But where are you guys kind of like, oh no, the books are way better, screw the movies, or are you guys good with both, or how do you feel on that?
For me, I
Julie.
just. Oh, sorry.
Julie, no, go. When you're all sitting
Do you
quietly, I try to
mean
pick one of you out.
Julie,
Right,
or do you
yes.
mean Jolie?
I do mean Julie. Oh shit.
You're not going to live that one down.
Nope.
No,
it's gonna be
that's
forever.
twice now. Um,
No, I meant you.
For me, it had been so long since I'd read the books and when the movies came out, like between the time between the two. So I didn't really remember the books. So when I saw the movies, I was like, wow, my my head exploded. It was so awesome. And then reading, like talking to my friends and then hearing about, okay, so there's pretty much nobody who doesn't know anything. Like if I say things like they left out characters, people are not going to get upset with me.
Oh, like spoilers?
Yeah, like it's
Yes,
been
give
such a
me
long
those.
time.
Listen, yeah, if anybody
Everything's
hasn't
fair
seen
game.
them, and yeah,
No,
just
give it.
Like I'm
Statute of
sorry,
limitations.
yeah.
Dumbledore's
Yeah.
dead. Like that's okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Spoiled the ending of a
No!
movie that's not even out yet last week.
Wait,
so don't even
who
worry
killed
about it.
Dumbledore? Yeah. No, go ahead.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
So when people were saying things like, "Oh, they left out these pivotal characters," and I went back, like Peeves, they left him right out of the movies. The entire franchise, no Peeves in sight. And he's important to a lot of some of the plot lines, especially in the second one. But I feel like what they did with the movies really stood like a it really stood by itself. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm saying it properly.
Well, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is like I look
Oh.
at the books as
Whitney, you sound
awesome.
like a robot.
Oh no, what did
No,
you
I
do?
think she's good. No.
Maybe I sound like
it
a
might be
robot
your
to you.
connection.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
sounds
that might
fine
be
on
your
this side.
connections, Julie. Yeah, she's okay on our end.
All I was gonna say was to your point that I always look at it as an awesome series of books and an awesome series of movies, and I never compare them. If I want to sit down and binge the movies, I binge the movies. If I want to spend a month reading all the books, then I'll read all the books. So stuff like Peeves and other little things didn't bother me as much because to me they were almost two different worlds, even though they were the same world. If that makes any sense.
Hmm. Yeah, and like to kind of go off of what they're both saying too, like film and books, they both are their own great art. Um I mean, everyone's going to praise Azkaban because they got such an like an art house director practically to take care of it, and that one is the only one I would say that while it wasn't totally faithful to the books because they aren't. While it wasn't totally faithful to the book, it stands alone as its own piece of art, the way that the book stands alone as its own literary work. So yeah, like I the one thing I will say is though that there was a lot of Goblet of Fire that I really enjoyed that didn't make it into the film. And while I would have liked to see it in the film, part of me gets kind of like joy in a rereading where I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, that wasn't in the film because my memory of film is very good, but my memory of literature is not. So when I get to reread something, I'm like, oh yeah, Elf and Hermione's big crusade with the house elves. Like
Yeah.
you get to
huge.
relive that on your own, and
Yeah.
it doesn't exist anywhere else but in the books. So it's kind of nice
Mhm.
to have both. It's like having double Harry Potter, even though it's like the exact same thing.
Yeah, kind of like what Whitney was saying, right? Like you get to experience it on two different. Of course, there's going to be more story in the book. Of course, there's going to be more nuances in the book and more subtleties in the book and more plot lines in the book because you have an entire book. You can watch the movies in a weekend, but like Whitney said, it's going to take you weeks to go through all the books because there's just so much there, right?
Mhm.
So I've just never really. I shouldn't say I haven't understood because I think if you guys are into reading, you've probably seen some absolutely terrible adaptations of literature into film.
Yeah, and
Right.
that's
So it's
I
not like
wanted to
it
cut in
doesn't
there.
happen. It does, but I just feel like, and especially with the films with Harry Potter too, reading is great, and some kids will do it, but those movies are what brought Harry Potter to the world. That made it such a huge phenomenon. Yes, they were best-selling books and such, but if they never got into films, the majority of just the average Joe is never going to know what Harry Potter. We're not even having that discussion. So, at the end of the day, if the movies led people to read the books and vice versa, I think that's all to the good.
Yeah,
What were you saying, JS?
yeah, I understand that feeling because you're right. These movies did bring Harry Potter to a lot of people that had never read the books. And I think the reason why some of the purists sometimes have an issue with the way movies are portrayed, especially when they're not done well, And that's a thing that I think you all mentioned, is that the Harry Potter movies stand well on their own. They are good in their own right. But when you end up with a movie that is not so good, that's the movie that brought that franchise to the mainstream public, and it sucked. That's why the purists sometimes get so mad at how Luke Skywalker was portrayed in The Last Jedi. I'm going to make a lot of Star Wars references here, guy, because a lot of what you guys are saying, I reference back to my experiences with Star Wars.
And there's a lot of pent up anger and frustration.
Although
on
there
Chris's
is,
part.
but what can I say? I feel like that's a little bit of the people's problem is we call them purists, but at the same time, it's this franchise that they love so much that it's finally being brought to the mainstream public, and then it gets sometimes screwed up. Now, I don't know. Again, I'm not a fan enough of the movies to say that they were screwed up. It sounds like you all seem to agree they were pretty good. But Jeff, you were also saying that
No,
there was a
Jolie's
whole
not saying that. Oh, wait,
Well,
hold on.
Jolie, fair enough. Jolie, yeah.
No.
okay,
No,
fair
give it to us,
enough.
Jolie.
I would,
This is
s-
what
I
I
would say
want.
that, yeah, I mean, I brought up Azkaban because it is the best one. I brought it
right.
up because it is the best one. The other ones are just faithful adaptations. Azkaban is art. It is.
Right.
That's funny because the only one I really have a beef with is Azkaban.
Going
And
right
it's
in
only
there again. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
only one thing. It's only one thing, and that is in the books, Lupin sees a glowing orb, right? In the movies, it's very obviously a moon. I just felt like it was more of a giveaway. It was a throwaway in the movies, where I was kind of more of a secret that you figured out in the books.
Yeah, for me, it was more about how, because Alfonso Cuarón is very well known for how he portrays like coming of age and the thoughts and feelings of being young. And he really, I feel like he understood the emotions of adolescence and growing up in school and around other adolescents as well. Like, feel like he captured that part of the books, and that is something other directors who created just faithful adaptations. That is something he did as opposed to what like Chris Columbus did with all the rest of the other films, where it was like it wasn't like note for note, but it practically was. And Azkaban was note for note, except for that one point about the glowing orb. And that was a little for me. That scene that was a little too on the nose too. I'm not here for a clown Jack in the Box. No, but anyway.
No,
It was-
but
it
I
was-
mean,
it
I
was
want
like-
to hear more about this. Yeah,
It
I
was-
want to
yeah,
hear more
right?
of your thoughts.
And
Because,
he
for you,
used-
is it more about him getting the feeling right? Or was it more about the other stories just straying away from the story too much?
I think it was the first one. It was about him getting the atmosphere of the books correct, because we as well, as someone who grew up reading the books and then grew up with the movies, I too was also changing. So it was like the movies and the books were changing to sort of suit my experience. So it was amazing to like one. At first, I was really mad at Azkaban because I was like, "What is that?" And then when you really break it down, he had an understanding of all of the characters that all the other directors just really didn't see or didn't care to portray in the films. So, yeah.
It's definitely.
I mean,
the
they're
most
all-
John. It's the most John Hughes of the films for sure, to capture
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah,
coming
like-
of age teen.
Yeah, if John
angsty-
Hughes and
Yeah.
Tim Burton did a joint,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
it
much.
would be those
Yeah.
two.
No, you're not wrong.
But
And
that
I
was
think
big
a lot of the
part
times they hold Azkaban up too. That's a fairly like that is, I think anyway, the best of the bunch too. And I think that's a fairly, I don't want to say common, but it's kind of like Empire for Star Wars, right? Like everyone kind of agrees overall that they just really, except for Whitney making that face down there, but everybody else kind of agrees that Azkaban is top shelf, and then like Julie's saying, everything else is kind of secondary to that. What about you, Julie? What do you think? You got to weigh in on this a little bit. What is your favorite of the? So each one of you can say, but what is your favorite Harry Potter film of the? I guess we'll call it 7, technically 8 films that are there. What's your favorite? I know it's hard to pick.
Oh.
I mean, we know Whitney's isn't Azkaban, so
I didn't
at
say
least we
that.
got
I didn't say
Pretty
that.
sure that's what you said. Yeah.
You know what? Unpopular opinion, but The Half-Blood Prince was my favorite film.
Hmm,
And can
that's
you
a good
expand on
choice.
that a little bit? Like,
It
what
was
about
the
that?
history in it. It was the story that was being told, really. Because I don't really have an opinion about how things are shot. I'm very pedestrian when it comes to movies. Like I don't know things about directors. I don't know things about, the way the way directors direct their actors or the way they shoot things to make it feel like a certain way. I just know from pure entertainment value and what the movie brought forward, which was all of the history behind what I am. Also, another unpopular opinion, Team Snape, all the way. The things that he did for a reason. Um, a lot of people will say they are kind of like his motivation was a bit perverse, if you want to use that terminology, but it was kind of like a, what do you call that? They kind of put him in the forefront and kind of make him a hero.
It's a
Like
redemption arc. He had a
yeah,
huge
it's like
redemption arc for that movie.
it's a little bit more redeeming for Snape. And
Well, it's kind of like
I
that
just
anti-hero, right? Where he's not a good
yeah,
guy, but he's always there to look out for Harry.
exactly. And I like it. I don't know. I just like that film specifically, the story behind it, what it uncovered about the history of the characters, and I feel like I cared about those characters more, like the back history. If they had made a film, sorry, I'm speaking in all 15,000 tangents, but if they had made a film of the history of Harry's parents and how everything came to be the way it was before Voldemort had killed them in their home, I would have been more interested in reading a book about that and seeing a film about that and learning more about the relationships and the goings on between those characters specifically. Because I felt like there was more depth in that character story than there was anything else that was going on in The Half-Blood Prince. Yeah, so what? He wrote in a book. There's a reason why he wrote in that book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, because especially in the books, the narrative choices, everything. It's even though it's written in third person, every scene has Harry in it,
Hmm. I
and a
don't
lot of
really
people don't
care
realize
about
that.
Harry.
Other than the
Another
prologue
unpopular
and the
opinion.
epilogue.
I could
No,
give a
it's true,
about
but
that boy.
you don't get to see anything happening that he's not involved in directly, unless
Exactly.
it's a
And
prologue
it
or an
was
epilogue.
it was
So,
just so like it there's just so much more depth in the other characters
mhm,
and that you really get to see it. And Alan Rickman is such a fabulous actor.
he sure was.
I
I feel
agree.
like there wasn't enough of him.
Mhm.
And honestly, if they made a film about Snape, I mean they couldn't because I would never watch any actor in that role who wasn't Alan Rickman.
Adam Driver.
Perhaps. I don't know. I
What
don't
about
know.
you, Whitney? What's your favorite? Since I called you out on what it
I
isn't.
can't honestly say that I have a favorite.
Come on, that's a
To be
cop
honest,
out.
my favorite book was Azkaban. I can say
Right.
that for sure.
Well, that's good.
Um,
So, what's your favorite film? You can do it. I have faith in you.
I'm
Which
gonna
one do you
go.
hate the least?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with Goblet of Fire
Yeah. See,
as
I
my
like
favorite.
Goblet too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Entertainment.
Yeah, man. That's not a bad choice.
There was a
It's
lot
my
of
go-to
crazy
bedtime
stuff.
movie.
Right.
There was a lot of crazy stuff that I didn't know how they were gonna pull it off. I thought they'd make changes. I mean, obviously they did make changes, but for the most part, it was pretty legit.
Mm,
As far as the crazy big epic scenes that were in the book were in the movie.
yeah.
And I got to see a sparkly vampire die, so I mean it was cool. I'm sorry. I had to throw that in there. I'm a jerk. No, honestly, that one was probably the most entertaining to me. Was Goblet of Fire. I really enjoyed that one.
That's fair. Mine's Azkaban. Jolie, I'm assuming your answer's the same.
My favorite film is Azkaban, but my favorite book is Goblet. Also,
Mm.
Team Edward. Watch it.
How did I know? How did I know? So I apologize for the cheese questions, but I want to get some of these out here. I think we've got Julie's answer for favorite character. Clearly, I'm assuming that's going to be Snape. No, so we know
Mm-mm.
it's not Harry. That's for sure.
I can't even with him. Harry in the books,
So
Harry is awful. Harry, sorry, Daniel Radcliffe, not a fan.
That's fair. So favorite characters, everyone go ahead. Who's your favorite character in the series as far as that goes?
Nobody
Anyone,
wants to say
Dumbledore.
it.
Anyone? Bueller? For me, it's Sirius Black, and it's not even. There's not even it's Sirius, and then everybody else is a very, very distant second. So
Yeah, mine's Dumbledore. Yeah.
wow, stump the gurus here.
Well, I want to
No,
know
I'm
if,
just
if
waiting
it's
for
not
my
Snape.
turn.
If it's not
Yeah.
Snape for Julie, I really want to know who it
Yeah.
is over there.
I want to say
Jolie,
it's
you got nothing on
Ron.
this?
Well, I mean,
For
while
me,
you're
it's
thinking
Ron.
about it,
Oh, okay. Ron's a good choice.
oh, nice.
Hmm
That's quite lovely.
Literally the redheaded middle child. 100%. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's really funny. I'm a sucker for redheads, IRL, but Bill Weasley is definitely a close second. Like, I will say though, just growing up with his Shakespeare, I've always loved Kenneth Branagh. And when I
Mm.
saw Gilderoy Lockhart, I was like, this is ridiculous, and I love him. I love this
And
character.
he was so perfect.
right.
Really, really good. Really,
You love to
really
hate
I don't
him.
think they
He
could
was
have
only in
cast
the one
that
movie
any
though,
better.
wasn't he?
Just
Yeah,
just in the
yes.
second film, but I mean he absolutely destroyed it in that role. So,
Right? Perfect casting.
Are we
Yeah.
talking about who was our favorite character, like in the movie?
in general, I mean, I know it might be different between the books and the films, but
Oh, okay. So I have a film
It's a-
favorite and a book favorite.
that's fair.
Ooh.
I could get behind that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that, guys. It's
Yeah,
an
because
open
sometimes
bucket.
when an actor portrays a character, it's just like they bring so much more to it.
Mhm.
Like
And I
Alan
feel like the
Rickman.
casting overall in the movies was absolutely amazingly outstanding. Like some of those roles they cast so dead on solid perfectly, right? Like Rickman as Snape, but he's far from the only one.
Yeah, and I mean Gary Oldman, he is just a chameleon, but what a good choice for favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know it was him until someone told me.
Right. He looks
Same.
different every single time he's out. Okay, so
Mhm.
all right, so give it to us, Julie. Book and movie. Favorite character.
Is she
Nope.
frozen?
Just no.
Is it
No,
frozen?
I think she's pondering.
No, you're not asking me. You said Jolie.
No,
No,
I
he
said
said
Julie.
Julie.
Oh, you said Julie.
He said
said
Julie
Julie.
that time. Nice try.
Oh
though.
dear.
Don't you
Clean
guys
Okay.
even know your
fingers,
own names?
I mean, I do.
Maybe my headset's not that good.
There you go.
Okay. Movie, obviously. Snape.
Okay.
Book.
Mm.
You did say run.
I did. And you know what? He's pretty shiny in both the book and the movie. Like, you know what? He did not do anything wrong for me in either format. Yep.
All right.
I'm going to
Yeah.
say Ron is my fave. He's the perfect friend.
He's a
Yeah.
shy boyfriend.
How do you mean? He was never a boyfriend.
He was
He was
terrible to
nev-
Hermione.
No, but he was never her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Also,
he wasn't all that
she
great
could
to
have
laugh
spoke
either,
up
but,
for somebody who is very like matter of fact and needs to put everything out so that everybody is educated and informed on everything. She could have said, "Hey, dude, I like you.
Okay,
Let's
fine.
do this." I know they're like adolescents and it's really hard to do something like that. But for me, Hermione didn't seem like that kind of person that would beat around the bush. She would take Ron by the hand and say, "Hey,
You're my boyfriend.
you're my boyfriend. Get with it." Right? Do you not?
Yeah,
That's
no.
valid. That's valid.
That's
P.S.
valid.
My cat ate your rat. Oops.
Yeah. Sorry.
Ooh.
Oh,
Even
but P.S.
more
your
of
rat
a
is
reason.
a whole other dude. Whitney.
Okay, this is gonna be very long-winded because I have a favorite in the books, I have a favorite in the movies, and then I have a favorite that was in both. If that makes any sense. So in the books, person that got the most raw deal ever when it came to the movies was Rita Skeeter. I think that Rita Skeeter was friggin' awesome in the books. Journalist. Maybe I have a soft spot for her, but I thought she was amazing.
Slight bias.
The tiny bit that she was in the movie, she was also amazing. But I think that in the book, she was kind of incredible. Movies, you can't not love Bellatrix. You can't not love Helena Bonham Carter. You can't.
No,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
one of
She
those
was
people.
she was absolute perfection. And then as far as both books and movies, Remus Lupin was awesome
Yeah.
sauce.
Yeah. Yes.
Isn't he everybody's like perfect teacher?
Yeah.
Attentive,
Just
nurturing,
Werewolf and all. But
gives
yeah,
you chocolate.
gives you
Gives you
chocolate.
chocolate.
Gives you
Very
chocolate.
important. Yes.
Gives you
Yes,
chocolate when you're
extremely
feeling
important.
weak.
So sticking with books and movies and such, I want to talk about Fantastic Beasts a little bit, mostly because of the clear difference between the mad success that's been enjoyed by Harry Potter and the not so mad success, both the critical and box office on Fantastic Beasts. So we're getting a story almost like the prequels to Star Wars. You're getting a story that was mentioned and talked about in the books a lot that we never really got to see, which was Albus Dumbledore and Gellert Grindelwald and their relationship and eventual duel and such. So we're getting to sort of expand that out, but it's being around Newt Scamander and these beasts and Ezra Miller and all these things going on. What is it about Fantastic Beasts that you guys think is missing the mark, or do you guys think it is missing the mark? Do you guys hold it on par with the originals? Is it the lack of source? Is it the lack of the fact that you don't have the books to translate to, or is it the change in setting now that we're in America? Is it the fact that it's a prequel? What is it about those movies that you don't think is clicking even with Potter fans?
I can't honestly say I do wish there were books.
Do you
Just
think that
to
would help
elaborate
kind
on
of,
everything.
yeah, fill in some of the gaps?
I feel like even though they, come from the same house, it's all very Harry Potter, but make it America. Like, did we have to go to America to tell these stories? No. Wait, that's where they are, right? Yes.
That is
Yeah.
where they are.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's a
It
good,
just-
very good point.
Yeah,
Very good
it's like
point.
it was nice.
Why? What
that,
was the whole
like,
point of basing it in America?
That's kind of what.
That's
kind
the
of what we're
question.
saying.
Why did they
Yeah.
have to take it to America? Why couldn't they have kept it in the UK?
I don't
Yeah,
know if
Because
it
it
was
was
attempted to
literally
draw
a
more of
textbook,
an American audience, or
and they
yeah.
just made a story around a textbook.
Mhm.
Maybe they ran out of British actors.
mhm.
But they
did use
still
almost
cast a
all
bunch of them,
As Americans.
right?
Why not?
because that's what you do.
Yeah, it was just so
Ah.
strange because
I
it's like,
think it was.
oh no, go ahead.
No, I think it was missing the whole "you're coming home" kind of thing, because in the beginning of every Harry Potter film, he's in every book, it's just he's home, he's with the Dursleys, he's miserable, and then September 1st hits, and then you come home, and then the book brings you home, and then you have a great adventure, and then you're sent back to misery. Um, I think what it was missing was the whole. Well, we didn't know anything about the characters. There wasn't anything to care about. The only thing that we could look forward to was possibly not possibly, but seeing all of these fun creatures that we had read anything about. But it was missing the charm. There was no charm. And I feel like because it was a full cast of adults, there were no children. Not that for me it had a lot to do with I just didn't feel like I was going to a place that was familiar and welcoming and warm. Do you know what I mean? Like you're going
Mhm.
every single film, every single book, you're going home to Hogwarts. No, as soon as you open the book, whether it happens in the first chapter or the second, you're going to go home. I keep saying that, but that's that's kind of like that's what we look forward to. So when the movie started, it was almost cold. Like the characters were cold. There was this I don't
Mhm.
know. It just wasn't it wasn't that same warmth and expectation.
Yeah, it took place in like pre-industrial America, and there
Yeah.
was like
Mhm.
it was a time when there were feces in the streets and like zero indoor
People are-
plumbing and barely any lights. Like
Yeah.
evangelicals in the streets preaching on actual soapboxes. Like it felt cold for sure. The temperature of everything was very cold. It was very much because it was based on the Fantastic Beasts textbook. It felt very much like it was based on history. And there is a way that you can present an interpretation of history to an audience in film, but I feel like they pigeonholed too many things into it. Like they're like, oh, okay, well, we're going to give you Newt Scamander. He's a Hufflepuff. Hufflepuffs are going to get their day, but also because you know he's a Hufflepuff, there also now has to be this entire lore surrounding an American school that you didn't know existed until now. Like that's a little bit sus. I didn't like that. Also, the names of the houses are stupid.
Right? Thunderbird?
I mean,
Not
am I
not
being
good when
petty?
you, it's not good when you bottle up your feelings like this, Julie. I want you to express
Let it
yourself
out.
more, okay? Yeah, really let us know how you're thinking and how you're feeling about it. Stupid.
But right? But there it was something that was really great happening. There were a lot of really great themes happening in the film, but it was just they went from like Batman the animated series to like The Dark Knight, like 0 to 60 real quick, and it wasn't fun.
Mhm.
I thought that was the cool part about the original movies is it didn't matter what the time period was. Because like Julie's saying, they spend so much of it at Hogwarts and there's no technology. There's nothing there to constantly remind you of what time period you're in. It could take place in the 80s, could take place in the 2000s. It didn't matter because it wasn't relevant. And so then they changed the next one into a period piece where the period itself is almost a character in it, and it's not one that anybody's enjoying on any level. Do you think that the Eddie Redmayne's a great actor? Don't get me wrong, but do you think maybe it's just his character is just not diverse or complex enough or interesting enough to carry a whole franchise like that? Is that part of the issue? No, he's not, or no, you don't think that's the
He
issue?
wasn't charismatic enough.
Yeah.
He was too quirky, if that's a thing. He was fantastic, but there weren't enough levels to him. He was very much a Ravenclaw.
Is that shade? I
It
just want to
is.
know. Is that
Sounds
shade?
like it.
Colin's
I
getting
mean,
thrown.
Jacob Kowalski
Wait,
was
are
more
there-
of a Hufflepuff.
He
Are there any
was.
Ravenclaws here right now? Like, was that throwing shade
No.
at anybody specific?
I don't
No,
even know
think
your.
so.
Yeah. Well, so it's just what are your houses? Go ahead, real quick.
Hufflepuff.
I'm
JS,
glad
you
you
don't
could
know.
admit that to yourself.
How did you not get sorted before this episode?
That's-
Okay, scrap your questions. We're sorting him.
Oh,
I'm
No,
Gryffindor, by the way. Whitney? What are you?
Gryffindor as well.
Gryffindor as well. And Jolie, are you a Hufflepuff as well?
I was initially Gryffindor and then resorted Hufflepuff. And if we care about Ilvermorny, I'm Pukwudgie.
Yeah. I
We
know what
don't.
that is. Okay. No. I've heard of cross houses. I was told I was a Ravendor or whatever the heck that is,
Same.
or a Griffin Claw or whatever you want to do. But so
I'm a
what? So we're gonna
Huffleclaw.
we're gonna the French guy here. We're gonna go ahead and sort the French guy.
Yeah, hang on.
Yes.
Before we get into this, do you guys think that the fact that Harry Potter is a coming of age story, right? A lot of the big super fans are people that grew up with Harry. They grew up reading the books, and every time a book came out, Harry was roughly the same age as they were and going through roughly the same things, and they just became those super fans. Now that you're telling a story that's not about the person that you connected with because you were growing up with that person, even though it's within the same world, do you think that maybe has a lot to do with why it's just not as popular?
I think it is part of a lot to do with it, honestly.
Maybe. I mean, we didn't grow up with him, but we grew up knowing that Hermione read his textbook from cover to cover every year. But like, for me, there was a want and a desire for a connection to this character, but he already seemed like such a traumatic character that had experienced all kinds of things before we even got to meet him. So, I mean, let's talk about the love triangle. it doesn't matter. We don't have to talk about it. But like he was experiencing all kinds of like things emotionally in his love life, in his personal life. I'm very certain he's on the spectrum. I will say though, tangent, that I do find that the feedback from people who are on the spectrum, they connected with him in that way. And I'm glad that they
100%.
feel seen in him.
Yep, 100%. My son's on the spectrum. I don't know if everybody knows that or not, but my 18-year-old boy is severely autistic. So yeah, for sure he's, and it's called a spectrum because of course everybody's different with it, but he certainly has a lot of characteristics from that. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. So yeah, that's great that there was an advocate out there for. But yeah, I don't know, JS. I think the setting change was too dramatic. I think if they kept even if they moved it to the 40s, but they kept it in England, I think it would have been a little bit better, and we still would have had the Ministry of Magic, and we still would have been called Muggles and not No Mages or whatever the heck they were calling them in that film. Whatever changes they made, which were too many, I felt it was too jarring. It got too far away from what we were familiar with. So
I think one of the reasons people wanted more Harry Potter world is because they wanted to re-experience what they did when they were younger. And they wanted the bright colors and the magic and the sparkles and everything else. And they wanted something that was familiar. And this was very unfamiliar. Now, Julie threw out a whole unpopular opinion saga before. My unpopular opinion is I love Fantastic Beasts, and I think it's fantastic. I love the art deco of it all. I love the time period. I love the fact there's no kids in it. I love that it's more grown up. But that's not what people as a whole were looking for in this. They wanted that magic, and they wanted that home, and they wanted all of those things that they had experienced in the original franchise. Again, just like the way I separate the books and the movies, Fantastic Beasts is a great set of movies. Harry Potter's a great set of movies.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
They just happen to live in the same world.
Yeah, the Fantastic Beasts and the sequel, they were fantastic films. I absolutely love them, but I'm guessing the overwhelming majority is they have this what you just said, Whitney. They wanted that connection, and they wanted the magic and the color and the sparkle, and they wanted to connect to something that they had, and they didn't get it, so they were mad.
I was honestly surprised when Jeff said that it didn't do as well. I was like, oh, it didn't? Am I that obsessed that I can't see through these rose-colored glasses?
it sure didn't. Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh,
Now, where are you guys on the Johnny Depp situation, let's call it, without getting too far into the weeds? But as we look, JS shaking his head over there at me. As you guys know, or if maybe you don't know, and constant viewer, maybe you don't know, but Johnny Depp was appearing as Grindelwald in this movie series, and after some allegations in regards to his ex-wife, he was removed from the series, and he's been replaced by Mads Mikkelsen as the same character. They couldn't write off the character because the character is pretty integral to the plot of the films and such. So but a lot of new things have come to light for Mr. Depp in his case with his wonderful ex there, and it seems like maybe he was a little maligned prematurely as far as that goes. So I'm curious what you guys have thought. I have two controversial things I want to talk about, and this is one of them. I'm curious how you guys feel about Johnny Depp being off the film project and being replaced by Mads Mikkelsen. JS, you gonna weigh in on this? Our Muggle?
Yeah,
Muggle's gonna
definitely.
Get in here, buddy.
I'm a huge Depp fan. I think it was a crime that he was fired. Especially considering that his ex-wife, who turns out to have been as far as we could tell, the aggressor in all of this, even though it was made to look like he was, she is still continuing on with the movie franchises that she was in. Meanwhile, he had nothing to do with all of this. He was the victim, and he's the one that gets fired. Talk about victim blaming here. I think that was a crime. The flip side of that is I also love Mads Mikkelsen. So he could do a really, really good job in this movie because he's a really, really good actor. But yeah, I think that him losing his job over all of this, cancel culture to me has become out of control. It's become out of control, and this is the prime example of cancel culture. And yeah, I think that was a crime. I'll let everybody else weigh in because I don't want to start getting heated about this subject.
I'm heartbroken, and I agree with you. I will say nothing more. Wholeheartedly agree with you.
Thank you.
Whitney?
Oh, Jolie put herself on mute, and she's making a face. Whew.
Ah!
feel the knives are going to come in fast and hard.
Do you know what? No matter what we think about cancel culture or what I like to call accountability, here's the thing: the real story came out. The real story came out, and he unfortunately lost his job as a result. We don't know. We don't truly know what happened between the two of them. I don't think that either are blameless. But like JS said, where there is a dark cloud, what is the saying? Whatever. Mads Mikkelsen, come on now. Like we got some terrible news and then it got replaced with good stuff. So it's like, do I feel bad? Of course I feel bad. I would hate it if anyone did that in my bed. That's neck.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you just imagine?
I don't
but
think he
also-
should have lost his job, though.
Exactly.
But what
No.
if he had done it? What if he
Yeah.
had done the things that she said that he did?
Then yes,
And then he
maybe
should have lost his
have.
job. So how do you make
Yeah.
that judgment call without knowing the truth? You got to err on the side of caution with this kind of thing.
Yeah, and
Now,
it's
is it
really
fair
hard-
that she still gets to go on and do her thing? No, it's absolutely not fair. But they're two different bunches of filmmakers, right? And one made a call and one
Mhm.
didn't.
It's really strange though that the Warner Brothers DC made different choices about keeping her on as Mira, and then Warner Brothers Universal Harry Potter decided we're just gonna get rid of Johnny Depp.
Well, I'm hearing rumors that maybe she's not actually going to be in Aquaman 2.
Yeah, well, I think she doubled down a little bit too hard, and she might have lost a lot of jobs as a result. I don't know that she's going to have very much of a career left, especially since she continues to sort of make light or continue to speak about their private lives.
She was going to women's rallies. She was going to
Right.
women's rallies, playing the victim,
yeah.
talking in front of
here's-
millions of people.
Here's the thing that I want to make sure people know, that all five of us, and I'm going to speak for all five of us, that we believe victims first. Then we listen, and then we see evidence. We're not unreasonable people, but this unfortunately, like, it's not black and white, this one, and it was painted very black and white in the beginning, and it sucked. But Mads Mikkelsen,
This is good. No, this is why I asked the question. I said I had two different controversial things I wanted to
I'm
ask you,
just
and they got
upset that they
controversial,
had
that's
made
for
the
sure.
judgment so quickly. Like they could have waited.
Yeah, they fired him on the spot. Like they
Right?
they didn't wait. They didn't. It was just you're gone.
With
It
the
was like, oh,
accusation as
you did
opposed
this. We
to-
heard you did this. Well, I
Right.
guess you are not going to be in our movie anymore.
Yeah.
Like nothing had
Yeah.
been said, nothing had been determined. Like they just said bye.
On
I think
allegations
that-
alone.
yeah, the court of
And that was unfair. And that's where I'm just like, I'm not a huge Depp fan, but that man in that role, like that's not for anybody else.
Clearly,
I
it
felt-
is.
might be.
Well, yeah, that's where we
But
disagree because I
we're
think
gonna find out.
Mads Mikkelsen might do a great job. I can't wait to see him
Yeah.
in costume.
Whitney, you
Yeah,
want to
like-
weigh in on this?
I don't know
You-
who that is.
You just have to think of it in the case of if they didn't do it and he did do the things and now he's coming out in a movie. You got to err on the side of caution. Now you could name a million zillion times when females have lost their job, males have lost their job over accusations of whatever. And this was just another one of those things. And they had to move forward. And the fact is that Grindelwald was already two different actors at this point, if you really think about it.
Now he's three.
Now he's three.
Yeah, that's right. Although I do miss Colin Farrell. I have a Graves that I'm working on, actually. I've got Marianne made me the cloak that he's got with the white underneath and such. So,
We
yeah,
lit that
Graves is
fire
going to
3 years
happen
ago,
at
Jeff.
some point. I know.
How come
It's
you're not
all right.
finished?
Well, there was this pandemic thing that happened where there was no
Well,
cons for like.
But wouldn't
2
that
years
have given
and
you
such,
more
but-
time?
The pandemic only
Okay,
happened
moving
last
on,
year.
I have another topic. Hold on, here we go. Wow, you snakes turned on me fast. Shit.
Yeah.
Hey, you
My
brought it back
goodness.
to cosplay. This is
Listen,
your own,
I
this
wore
is only your fault.
Slytherin for you guys, all right? And it hurt and it was dirty and gross the whole time, but I
Nobody
wore it
asked
with
you
the
to.
whole thing.
And
Yeah.
I documented it.
I know you did. Nobody asked you.
To be honest, I was shocked.
I know. And appalled.
This whole time,
Shocked
I thought
and
you were a
appalled.
Slytherin because of that
No.
day,
I'm sure. Well, now you know. We're both Gryffindors. Okay.
as it should be.
As it
Chase
should
is
be.
like, shoot,
Yeah,
if
I
I
know.
get sorted into Slytherin, I'm effed.
Yeah. Oh, he's 100% a Slytherin. Anyways.
Nothing wrong with the
sticking-
Slytherin.
No,
Most
no,
of my
nothing
best
at
friends
all.
are Slytherins, to be
I mean,
honest.
considering
with
I got
you.
my Revan helmet here,
Yeah,
my Red
that's-
Hood
yeah,
helmet
he's got a
there,
predator
my Predator
behind him.
there.
He's
I
clearly
mean,
a
I wouldn't be
Slytherin, there's no
surprised.
question. Although I cosplay a bunch of really nasty, terrible people too, and I'm a Gryffindor. Anyways, I want to move us from one controversial topic to another. Speaking of cancel culture, let's talk about J.K. Rowling. I don't think we can do this and not talk about J.K. Rowling, and I can see everybody's heart just skipped a beat, but
Yeah,
we
'cause there's
have
It
to
didn't skip, it
address
just
it.
exploded.
We have to talk about it.
Sunk.
Yeah,
So
we
if
do.
you
Okay, can
don't
I ask a
know-
question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody know what the actual statement is that she made?
Yes, I was just
That-
about to get there.
Yes. So what is the actual statement that she made that made, I think it was the trans community turn on her? And
Initially,
there
there
was
was
a
an
bunch of
article that came
statements.
out. There was. The initial one was someone had written an article about people menstruating, people having a menstrual cycle. And JK said, yes, those people have names. They're women. And that is what sparked everything that came after. And I think I'm going to throw my opinion out here first, then I'm going to get how you guys feel about this. I think a solid, I was misunderstood. I apologize. I have since educated myself on the role of gender in society now, and moving forward, I'm going to be better. I think that would have been great. But as someone mentioned earlier about doubling down, yeah, she kind of doubled down really hard, wrote a giant essay about why she was right. And in the
She
current
stuck a flag
climate,
in a hill and died on it.
and died right on it. Yeah. And that's going to lead me to a follow-up question after you guys have talked about this, because I do have a single follow-up question in regards to this. But yeah, I think a well thought out apology. Well, to be fair, I think not opening your mouth on this in the first place is probably your best bet, even if that's your private indoor thoughts. Just have them in your living room and don't put them out.
oh,
on
but you
Twitter.
want us to weigh in on it, though, eh?
8 million followers. Yes, I did. Not on. No, I don't want you to weigh in on the gender issue at hand. Thank you very much. We're not going into the weeds on that.
No.
We're going to weigh in on J.K. Rowling herself and the cancellation, or, well, I'll get to that in a minute. But where are you guys on J.K. Rowling and everything that's happened since?
I'm a very big supporter of kill your darlings. You just can't. You can separate the author from the work. You can look at the work differently as an artist, and this breaks my heart to say it because there's so many people that crucified me in art school about it. It's like, Hitler was an artist. I'm not saying that he was a good man or that because he was a freaking Nazi. I'm just identifying the fact that he made some paintings, and they shouldn't be discounted in the world of art, especially because of who he was. And like Ender's Game. What's that author's name?
Orson Scott Card.
That's it.
Yeah, great books.
He's
total
terrible.
piece of shit human. Yeah, yeah.
Great books.
Yeah.
Shit, maybe don't see him. But like great books.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really I personally can remove, unless you're Chris Brown, I can remove the artist from the work.
Nope, that's
Ain't
fair.
no one forgiving Chris Brown.
What?
Nope. Nope.
Can't do it.
Nope.
Wait,
That's
wait,
my
wait,
own
are you saying
personal-
Chris Brown's done anything good?
Well, even if he
Right.
had, it would be
I'm just
discounted
saying,
because he's-
if you're gonna take that stance of we need to separate the person from the work, it's kind of an all encompassing.
It's got to be good work.
Well, do you know what? The
Oh,
work's
so
gonna be
only
good
if
then.
it's
Okay,
okay.
so not
No, but
his
it kind
body
of
of
flies in the
work.
face of the Johnny Depp argument, though, right? Like, even if Johnny had done it, but he's a great actor and acting is art, so then wouldn't he then kind of be exempt because the art is separate from? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a bit of a slippery slope, I guess. Is that what you're kind of getting at, Whitney?
It's hard when it's
You can't say it's okay for one person to be a shit human being but an awesome artist, but the other one can't. You gotta kind of.
That's kind of where I'm going.
acting
with
know-
is different for me. I separate acting from
art.
practice.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
like literature,
I-
fine art.
I may not support artists that I don't like. There are artists that act certain ways or say certain things that I don't like. I may not support them. Difference is I'm not going to go crusading online trying to destroy their lives and their careers. That's where I draw the line. You
Yeah.
know, if you don't want to support somebody, don't support them. But to go crusading against somebody and trying to cost them their career, their livelihood, the
Yeah.
welfare of their kids and their family, you gotta look at yourself in the mirror. That's the way I see it.
hmm
Julie,
I
Whitney?
draw the line at doxing and harm. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
definitely.
you're right. Yep. Do you guys want to weigh in on this? I know, Julie, you were gonna. What are your thoughts on this?
I struggled with this for a long time.
Yeah.
But because I disagree so strongly with what she said, and I wanted to
Mhm.
understand why she said it and how she could have written such an inclusive body of work and such a rainbow of characters, and then think this way. So for me, it was more, I I really don't like what you said, but there's a reason why you said it, and I really want to understand why. Because I don't have to agree. Like there's something I talked to my therapist about, and it's that you have differing opinions with people, but you don't have to agree with them, but you should understand why they think what they think. It will help you to understand your anger, um, and your reaction. So I tried for a very long time to understand, and probably spent more time than I should have trying to understand why somebody, like I said, who wrote such an array of characters and such an inclusive story, how she could have come to be this way. Because I don't think she always felt like this. Because you can't write your characters like this and feel like this. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause over time, something has influenced the way she is thought. Because, like, seeing how, like, her age, she's probably about what, the age of our parents,
Mhm.
in her 60s. So,
Oh, she's not the age of my parents.
oh no, my parents are in their 70s, but I'm saying, like, the generation she grew
parents?
up in. I remember
She
making
She is 56 years old. I just
yeah,
Googled that for you.
Wow.
Yeah, nice.
Holy
yeah.
cow, Jeff, she's not that much older than you are.
Listen, okay.
Whoa.
Why do
She
I
is
do that?
Sorry. You know I'm
Yeah,
kidding, bud.
no.
But
Jeff leaves. the
but
chat.
Jeff,
Yeah.
like, okay, so saying I'm not like throwing you in the light here, but
No, not
when we
this.
grew up, even okay, I'm 37 years old. Even growing up as a kid, there weren't any out trans people, and we didn't call them transgender either. If there were, it was awful.
Right.
So her thought process, and it's probably been ingrained in her, is that, or who knows even. I honestly, like I said, I struggled to understand why, and I still don't understand why she said what she said, but
Mhm.
I can get it, and I really don't want to make excuses for her, but because it's what she said was awful. Like it was, what was it, like trans people aren't people, trans
They're not
women aren't women.
biological.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
used the word
she played the
She didn't
biological.
really
biology. Yeah, she
say.
played the biological card. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know if hate is the right word. It's a lack of understanding on her part is really what it comes down to. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't know who said it, but I think it was you, Julie. She really put that flag on the hill and died on it.
Oh, that was me.
Which kind of
Yeah.
which kind of leads me to my follow-up question though. Do you think she's too big to cancel?
No.
Well, hold on. She's a billionaire. That's not going to change.
No.
She is the highest grossing author of all time. She's still involved in the Fantastic Beasts films, in spite of all this. But other than that, her body of work is already out there. It's already been consumed by the masses for the most part. You've watched the original movies and you've read the original books. She has all of our money already. So at this point, canceling her other than saying, well, we all agree that she's a terrible person? Is she too big now to be canceled, or enough out of the limelight that it doesn't matter anymore?
I think the casual vacancy canceled her. Honestly, the
That's
her
No, no,
body
I
of work
didn't.
afterwards
Yeah,
canceled
I
her.
didn't read it. Yeah.
Don't
But
worry
do you guys
about
feel
it.
like she can be like? Do you think she sweats being canceled at home right now, sitting on $1 billion
Oh,
and not
no,
really
I
being active
definitely
anymore
wouldn't.
in the public eye?
Didn't she lose that status because she gave so much money away to charity? She was no longer a billionaire.
She did, but I read an article literally 3 days ago, and I guess she's crossed that.
Oh, she's
threshold again.
back!
So
Yay!
yes,
Oh,
yes. Yeah, but see,
yay!
even to put it in perspective, Stephen King is worth about 400 million, and she's worth $1 billion. That's how much more she's made than one of the biggest authors of all
impressive.
time. Yeah, it's absolutely what she's done on that side is it's extraordinary. But yeah, everything else is So it begs the question, right? Like,
I'm
When
gonna
this
agree
does
all
with
it?
Jeff.
Yeah,
when this
I
all
think
first
she could be
happened,
canceled. Go ahead, Whitney.
when this all first happened, the only thing that I felt like I could do was go to one of my friends who is trans, and also a huge Harry Potter fan, and ask him how he felt about it. And basically, he said that the body of work's too important to too many people, and you have to separate it. And you can absolutely not agree with what she said. You can agree that she's a person who should probably keep her yap shut and not worry about giving us all press releases on every thought she has in her mind, like everybody else in the world does with social media. But that's what he said, was that the work was too important to cancel. Because what I wanted to know was, if I go out in public wearing my Deathly Hallows mask and I'm there and waiting for coffee and there's someone there who's trans, they're going to look at my mask. Is that going to be upsetting to them? And I wanted to know these things. I wanted to know what the deeper meaning was to people who it actually affected, instead of like straight cis people who, we have all the opinions in the world about it, but our opinions, I hate to say it, don't matter as much
No, you're
as
not
those
wrong.
that actually are affected by her words and who would be hurt by her words. So that's what I wanted to find out.
Nope, that's totally fair.
Yeah,
Holding
I
space
like
for those people that matters.
Go
a
ahead,
lot of
Julie.
the trans women I know had way more of an opinion about it, because she did reference menstruation and biological women. And in that sense, I can see like being terribly offended by what she said, like extremely offended, to the point where it affected them. They wanted me as a fan to cancel this woman from my life and to not read the books. But I don't know. I still have my own personal belief on what uh, the separation of art and creator. So it was hard. I mean, we're still like, it's being dredged up in the media again today with David Chappelle's comedy special. He brought it up again, so now we're being reminded of these awful things that happened. But yeah, again, it's hard. It's hard. I hear my trans brothers and sisters, and I'm an ally. I try to be as much of an ally as I can. I don't know how to be at this. I don't know how.
No, it's a pop culture phenomenon. We like we've talked about. We all either grew up on it or watched our kids grow up on it, and we all fell in love with it for so long. And who said that the work is important? It's true. It's
Yeah.
important to so many people around the world. But then, so are trans rights, especially now in the current climate and culture. Now that we're finally they're getting a voice. They're finally getting to be heard, getting to be seen. That's important. So we
Yeah.
have to make sure that we keep highlighting that importance. But I don't think we necessarily have to choose. I think we can still be supportive of our trans brothers and sisters, all of the people that we know in the LGBTQ community, and yet still find an enjoyment in this art that's been put out there for I don't know how long. When did the first book came out? What are we talking? It's got to be
The 90s.
97.
yeah, somewhere around there, right? We can still enjoy it.
I'm gonna get
And we
shot
can
because it's probably
still
wrong.
yeah no
Totally Googling right now.
yeah do it.
Oh, I was just about to do that.
Yeah,
There
we
you
can
go.
enjoy it and still condemn the words that she's saying personally.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And I don't want to get down the road of the dangers of social media and everything else, because everybody has a voice.
Ah, damn, that's where I wanted to go with this. I was
No,
going to ask a question about
we'll
that.
be another 3 hours if we go down that road. Or
Well,
open
one
up
quick
that-
question
No.
then.
But could
Hmm.
Julie and Jolie put your hands in the air for a minute? Both of you.
and wave them
Come on.
around like you just don't care.
And say, yeah, it was 97. Yeah, we got it right.
There you go.
Nice.
I win trivia tonight.
Nice.
You win my adoration or respect. You only get to choose one.
Yeah. I get
Hmm.
both.
What did you pick the first time?
Adoration.
She didn't pick one. That's why she didn't get a prize.
Oh, I didn't want
Darn.
either.
Oh,
It was like deep in the middle of a pandemic, and I didn't want anything from anybody.
yeah,
It was muddy waters that I had not ever tread.
it's fair.
That's how I wanted to end it off, on a bummer. That's for sure. Woo! Do you guys have anything that you want to talk about as far as Potter goes? You want to send us off on maybe a little more of a lighthearted note?
Yeah,
Now we're all sad.
I know, right?
right.
I wanted
really
to save the
took us
controversy. Well, I
down.
didn't want to bum us out at the beginning and then have it just hang over us like a dark
Oh,
cloud for the
I
whole
know.
podcast.
Here's a very dark cloud with a horribly silver lining. As much as everyone wants to ignore it, Cursed Child is coming to Mirvish in Toronto, June 2022. Let's just
What's Cursed Child?
let-
Oh, see, the Muggle's got to open his mouth. The Muggle has got to open his mouth. What
literally
Is that
can't.
like the
Child?
Harry
I
Potter
gag.
play or something?
If I had an
Or
Yes,
opportunity
yes,
to
it
boot him
is.
from here, I
Yay!
would.
Very
You win.
unnecessary storyline.
But good job, buddy. Good job.
So, as much as I love art and books, I also love musical theater. So, the fact that they're going to do stage chicanery is going to be amazing. But I suggest we all see it. I've already put myself on the mailing list. But anyway, that's
I'm
coming.
down. I'm way
As
down.
much
Anybody know
as
the storyline?
I'm so down.
yeah, do you know what? It's fanfic turned into a stage play.
So
Let's
is
be
it
real.
like okay? So it's not
yeah,
like
so it's
the
like
story of the movie that has been turned into.
It is.
It's
sort
their
of like
children.
their children.
Oh,
So it's
Mhm.
Draco's child, it's Harry, Ron, and Hermione's children, all kind of together, and they discover each other and someone else's child.
Lupin and Tonks, I think.
Oh, is it
Teddy.
Teddy? Nice.
Teddy.
Yeah. Good old
Yep.
Teddy.
There's some time travel. There's some hijinks. Like, the story isn't the greatest, but if you're looking for something to tide you over until the next best thing, it did the trick.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would totally go see it in the stage play. I
And
think
you
it'd be
could read the
great.
book in a day.
Yes. In
In
an
the
hour
world
if
of-
you're quick.
in the world of mega streaming services, is it time for Harry Potter to come to a streaming service near you in the form of a Disney Plus style TV series?
I
Yes.
wouldn't
Netflix
say
style
Disney
TV
Plus.
series.
I'd
but
say
I
HBO
definitely
needs to
say
get their claws
on
into it.
Max. Yep, 100%. I think they're already optioning, or like they're like courting people to kind of give them the good. But I feel like someone is out there who's got great ideas, who's gonna Game of Thrones that shit, and like it's gonna be marvelous.
Well, they've got a guaranteed 7 seasons, so
Yeah, they do.
I mean,
it to
don't
us
fuck
first.
it up.
Right.
But I mean, how much more could they tell if they're taking
Oh,
one book and they're
dude,
putting it
the-
into 13 episodes versus 2 hours, right?
Not even a book. The world is so rich. There's so many different ways that you can go.
Mhm.
As the Fantastic Beasts movie, they moved to a completely different country in a completely different time era, but it's still within. But even then, let's go to
Mhm.
Durmstrang and see how that goes. Let's go back to
Ooh.
Voldemort's rise to power, the original Voldemort rise to power, and see how that goes in the Gathering. Of the
I could
Original
just watch
Death
a
Eaters, stuff like
season of him in an
There's-
orphanage as a child.
Yeah, there's so much,
People
dude.
on
and that's
fire.
yeah, that's just people. That's just people that we already know. Let alone what you could branch out and do with a
Yeah.
bunch of other things that have been like alluded to or what have you. Like, yeah, the world is rich. You could do a million things.
If they can do 13 seasons of Grey's Anatomy, excuse me, is it not 15 now? They
Dude,
can
I
do
think it's over 20.
I don't even know.
I think it's
whatever
more.
it's at.
I'm
Well, they did
Googling that.
15 seasons of
Google it.
Supernatural. If they
I
can
knew
do
we brought
15
Whitney on for a
seasons
reason.
of Sam
Reporter.
and Dean, they can
Yeah.
do 7 seasons of Harry Potter.
100%
18.
they
There's
can.
18 so far, and it's
18,
still
there you go.
going.
There you go.
Yep.
Now, the fact that
I-
Supernatural should have ended after 5, that's a whole different podcast, isn't it?
Yes, it
It
is.
is. And we will do a Supernatural podcast at some point as well.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. Which is a show I
Oh,
haven't watched a
cameo.
single minute of. So guess what? I'm not going to.
Really?
Yeah, that's right.
So should I
Well,
just
I'm with
run
Whitney.
it
I kind
then?
of dropped off after season 5. I was like, that's
So
it,
to
I'm
say,
done.
batter up, Jazz.
Ain't gonna be me.
Yeah, but Whitney is now putting in the effort to finish that bitch.
Oh, there you go.
I am now on 13, I think.
Well
Oh,
done.
I still
really?
haven't. I have
Trying.
3 episodes left to watch, and I will not watch them because I don't want it to end.
But I could tell
It'll be
fabulous
over.
stories about going to a supernatural convention because I've been to one.
Ooh. There you go, JS. When
I
you guys do
did-
that,
I did not pay to go
Get
to
Whitney
it, just
back.
to be clear. Did not happen.
yeah, okay. Shame. Clong, clong.
Legitimize that
Shame.
that
Clong,
brand of
clong.
lonely.
Back pedaling.
I was a booth babe. It was
Okay.
a thing I had to
Pictures
do.
or it didn't happen.
Mhm.
All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up for the
This is
evening on that note. On Booth Babe Whitney at her Supernatural convention that she did not pay to go to, apparently.
Mm-mm. In fact, I was paid to go to it.
Oh,
Well, excuse
It
me.
just gets
Yeah, I
thicker
know.
and thicker.
I know. I think someone thinks she's at
plot. The
Hogwarts.
plot.
That's right.
The plot's getting thicker and thicker.
Yeah, because
Oh,
we have been on for
yes.
about an hour and 20 minutes now, so we usually try to wrap it up within an hour, hour and a half. So we did get all the topics I covered. So I want to thank you guys for coming on today. I really, really appreciate it. This is the first time we've had 3 guests. We've had 2 before, but we've never had 3. But I knew all 3 of you were going to bring the goods as far as Harry Potter stuff and talking about some of the bigger things and the bigger issues that come along with that. So I do want to thank you guys for coming on. And Jolie and Julie, I'm so sorry about the name thing. I promise you it's going to happen a lot, but I mean, I'll apologize for it every single time. So
Mhm.
I do love you though. Love you both. Even if I can't keep
Aw.
you straight, I absolutely love you both so much. Equally, because I have to, because I have no idea which one's which. So I spread it
It's
around.
okay if you love me
50.
more. We won't tell anyone.
Well, I think
I'm
I
right
think-
here.
I think Jolie loves me a lot less now, so that's fine. I think it's going to be a natural progression as far as that goes.
Oh, she left
God!
again.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
yeah, screw
Holy
yeah, there it
dramatic.
is. Yeah, love her, love
I
her.
I have an equal
her.
amount of disdain for all of you except for JS because I don't really know him.
Yeah, no, trust me, you do. You just don't know it yet.
Oh.
It'll flower
Fair.
and blossom in time.
Fair.
Yeah. JS, do you want to roll us out here after I've thanked our cool guests?
Well, does everybody want to pitch their social medias before we go?
Yeah, by all means, or
Get a
anything
chance
you've got on the
to-
go, pitch away.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
Crickets.
You can follow me at Magic Mitten or at G.I. Joe Lee. You can follow my cool little store at tastemakers.studio or this other thing that we do that's about comic books, which is my true passion and love. And that's the Comic Book Syndicate at www.comicbooksyndicate.com.
What is the Comic Book Syndicate?
We
I guess you're just going to have to
review-
go there and find out, eh?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll email each other later.
Yes, definitely. Well, might as well go to Julie then.
Crossover.
Oh, I'm a purveyor of handmade goods located in downtown St. Thomas. It's called A Handmade Tale. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and now on TikTok. I found out what a TikTok is at Shop A Handmade Tale and see my awful, unliked videos. And all the fabulous things I have in my shop. You can also follow me at the Cape Crocheter and see all the nerdy woolen things I make. And yeah, that's no, that's it. That's all I got.
Very cool shops, by the way. Both those shops. I was there recently, and both shops are very cool. And I spent some money in there too. It was really, really nice.
Yes,
Thanks,
we
guys.
appreciate your patronage.
Absolutely. I'll be back soon.
Whitney, how about you?
I have absolutely nothing going on ever.
Oh,
a
that's
lie.
all
Yeah.
right.
If you want to see some fabulous live music photography, the random chances that I get to do it these days, you can follow Writer Winston on Instagram. I think I've shot about 6 shows this year compared to the hundreds that I usually do, but they're really good ones. And shop for both of these lovely ladies' store because it's pretty fantastic. It's right down the street from my house. And other than that, I'm going to school and making a lot of coffee for myself and being a crusty and opinionated old lady, and that's about it.
Especially when
You
you
just
leave
need a
your coffee
cat.
at home.
Ooh.
That
Latte.
was not my fault.
It kind of feels like it's a little bit your fault.
It was totally
Yeah.
your fault because you messaged me right as I was walking out the door, and it was
I
like,
wish.
coffee, no.
I wish that affected me on every level.
Yeah, heartless,
Messiah Complex
heartless man.
Cosplay. You can see there across all social media, Messiah Complex Cosplay. Fan Expo in Toronto for 3 days coming up October 22nd, 23rd, 24th. I will be there for all 3 days. I am not a booth babe. I did pay for tickets to go. So I will be there just wandering the con, doing some cool
Wow.
stuff and
You
throwing some
could
shade.
be one though, because I've
No.
seen you in a corset.
That's a
Just
story
so it
for another
doesn't-
time. That's a story
Just
for
so it doesn't
another
seem
time.
like you're like tooting your own horn. Seriously,
not.
folks, please go and find his lineup because it is stellar. I don't even honestly know
Amazing.
how you're going to do half of those things, but you're gonna.
Oh, I'm going to do them all. That's for sure. There's no question I'm going to do them all. So yeah, a lot of spandex. So we're definitely watching what we eat and trying to trim down and making sure that we're going to be good to go. So, but yeah, it should be lots of good fun. Also, I want to give a shout out to 2 different things. Cosplay Alliance, who is a co-sponsor of this podcast, and we wouldn't be here without Cosplay Alliance. They furnish the software that we use to do this, and they promote us on their channel as well. So fantastic group of people. Anthony's a close friend. So as well as a new venture that's going on over there called Heroes of Cosplay, which is CAUSE. So it's a nonprofit in the GTA area where it's cosplayers getting out and doing some good, working with charities and promoting that on there so we can get the word out and get more and more people involved in helping out, along with the current drive that I'm part of, which is the Suit Up for Jack drive. I don't know if you guys have seen that on my Instagram, but I've been promoting it pretty heavily. It's a blood donation drive. So we're asking cosplayers, or even just you got a nerdy shirt, great, put that on, go donate blood, take a picture, put in the hashtag Suit Up for Jack, and hopefully, well, it will. Your blood's going to save people's lives. So get up there and donate when you can. That's all I got going on. What about you, JS? What's happening?
Geeks, right here, Geeks and Co., our Instagram page, which is very quickly turning into a cosplay and Winston. Where's Winston? Winston page. As you can see, Winston's got some new Spock ears.
That's our
Yes,
mascot.
Winston's also a cosplayer, so you're going to see a whole lot of new Winston designs coming out. That's about it. Fan Expo. I'm only going Saturday, unfortunately. Like I said, I'm bringing a truckload of people, so I'm only going to be there on the Saturday. But if you see Jeff around in his Peacemaker outfit, you'll probably see a couple of Predators trailing not too far behind. That'll be us. What else? I mean, that's basically it. Halloween. Hey, it's October, Halloween month. What's everybody doing for Halloween? Any parties? Any costumes? No. What kind of friggin' geeks are you
Parties.
guys?
Ew.
You know I'm 48, right? What am I doing?
Halloween.
I'm
My
handing
knees
out
don't
candy.
work.
I already said I was a crusty old lady. I mean that, like,
Yeah.
I'm wearing ears right now. This is.
You
it.
saw the half-naked child. You know what I'll be doing on Halloween night? Escorting her through the neighborhood.
I will not be home. Don't come to my house.
Oh,
Lights are
we
off,
don't go to
doors
your part of
closed.
town anyway.
It's sketchy. I understand. No, she's right.
Ooh,
She's
super
right.
Sketch. No, it's fine.
Wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I would drive
We're gonna be
straight
doing
to your
2 full
house
days
and
of
then
Halloween.
straight out.
Nice.
What are you doing for Halloween?
2 full days of Halloween. We're gonna be going store to store, inner predator costumes. We're gonna be going through Curtis, Oshawa, maybe even Whitby. Yeah,
You mean
2
Cortus?
days. In Cortis, yes, Cortis. Yeah. So yeah, so it's gonna be a great time. Halloween's gonna be amazing. We always go all out for Halloween. We always have some sort of a either crazy costumes, or we decorate a garage, or we did a whole Camp Crystal Lake cabin one year with the whole Mike Myers and Jason Voorhees thing, and we
Well, we're
yeah, we
expecting
go
pictures
all
of
out for Halloween.
like, yeah, make sure we get
Maybe
to see
I'm
that.
coming to Montreal to party. I don't know.
Montreal,
Curtis.
Curtis.
Wait. Curtis.
Curtis.
Sorry.
He
Curtis,
just sounds like
yes.
he's from Montreal. He's not actually in Montreal.
Sorry.
Yes,
That's all
yes. Not that far from you guys. I'm only like what?
The long COVID has affected my
hours?
short-term memory, apparently.
Alrighty. Well, hey, thanks everybody for joining us today. It was really awesome to meet all three of you. I can't thank you guys enough for coming along. Like I said, I couldn't have talked about Harry Potter for even 15 minutes without you guys. So it was amazing. Jeff, thanks again, man. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
For everybody else, well, thanks for watching. Make sure you go down below, click like and subscribe. It really, really, really helps us out here being a brand new channel. Every click generates some traction, or traction, I should say, for the YouTube algorithm. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Stay geeky. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Live long and prosper.